Okay, we're getting ready to work here, and we were just discussing during the break about how some folks are wondering how to judge distances and things. If you don't have a tape measure handy, there's so many different ways you can judge a distance, and so Kirk's going to just show us a couple different creative ways to just make sure your eye is seeing what you think your eye is seeing. So, scooch down here.
So this is very directly in response to comments and questions from the people that have watched our first issue of this video. And they want a little more detail, a little more ways of doing it. What are we doing? So routinely, day to day, when I'm measuring my feet, will typically use a hoof measure, a measuring tape. And I will measure one side of the hoof wall. So we've got there 3 and... right on 3 inches from where my eye is looking. The important thing is to measure the same spot on the other. And over here, we are about 2 3/4. So we now have 1/4 of an inch difference. When we finished our previous trim, there was an 1/8 inch longer on the inside. There was an 1/8 inch difference inside versus outside, medial versus lateral, if you want a little different terminology. And I like the numbers because I put that in my records. Another way of doing it, a lot of farriers will use just a wing divider. And if the wing divider, measure your short side first. And you can see visually this is the short side. Again, measure the same spot inside as outside so that you have an accurate measurement. But you simply put that one wing divider, one arm of it on the ground and the other arm at the coronary band. And I say coronary band, not hairline, because some horses will have a hairline down to here. So you want where the skin and the hoof wall meet. That's consistent, that's accurate. The hairline, today, even on a short hairline like this, is a different measurement than when I come back and they just clipped this horse for the show ring and now the hairline's up higher. So, it's not... But on here in the barn for today, measure one side, reach around and measure the other side, and you can see there, keep my arm out of the way, how much shorter this one is. On the outside, on the lateral side, that upper arm comes to the coronary band. On the inside, no, it doesn't. If we put it up here at the coronary band, you can see how it doesn't match the ground surface.
Yeah.
So still, you can accurately say we have this much deviation. It doesn't give you the number 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, whatever the tape measure does. The other thing I often use as I'm working on horses is hoof pick. And I'll slide that hoof pick in. You see all these different finger grips here. Well, on the inside, there's the coronary band. Oop. Come on back up here, sir. Yeah, boy, that'll work. On the inside, there's the coronary band right about the center of your first finger indent, or if you call it in that one, the second finger indent. Well, when you go to the other side of the foot, clearly it's lower down.
Yeah.
So if you're in the barn and that's all you got, a hoof pick will give you an accurate case whether you've got a match or not. So there's really no reason horse owners in the barn can't check on what their farrier has done.
Yeah.
The same thing works if you want to measure the length of this toe. Hook it underneath the toe or put it on the ground, and there is the coronary band, and you go to the other foot and do the same thing, and there's the coronary band. And in his case, the toes match left and right. Horses do very well when they match left and right. Mm-hmm. In this case, he's not matching left and right on an individual foot, but he's matching left and right for toe length and for angle on left foot versus right foot. So we're fine-tuning. We're down to the fine-tune part on this horse.
And I noticed before we started taping, you've trimmed the hinds, and of course, they would, if you measured them right now, they would measure out pretty evenly in all dimensions.
Yes.
But that's a good way of checking. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad we took a minute to do that.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right.
All right, let's turn him around and we'll wax his foot off the bar. We'll gently exfoliate.
Gently exfoliate, because our viewers, by the way, we're going to try and zoom in today as Kirk is doing some trimming. We're going to get the camera in close, so some of you were wondering about how does
Well, there we go.
how does Kirk make a strategic cut? Well, I'll tell you one thing. There's obviously experience and practice here we're about to see.
Shoulders just this way.
But the other thing is, you
Or move the
know,
hoof that way. That works.
having a good tool available to you, and just basically having some good nipper control, which Kirk is going to demonstrate here, will save you a whole lot of worries in the end. So, as the old carpentry rule goes, you want to measure twice and cut once. Well, you can see we've already measured several times, so now we're ready to do some strategic cutting. So we're going to zoom in here once Kirk is ready.
Now, right there, I picked this foot up 3 times. And this is a case where I want this horse to stand quietly, and whether it's this horse or any horse. And when I first asked him to pick up his foot, he snapped it off the ground and he took it back. And the second time, I picked it up and he took it back, but it was less. A longer period of time. The third time, he said, all right, here you go.
Yeah, just hand it
I
to
don't want to jerk the leg out from underneath and say, screw you, you will hold this here. I don't want to pick a fight with him.
Good point.
Pick it up 3 times or 4 times or whatever you need to do.
I always tell people there's no reason to deadlift a live horse, and that's a great example right there.
So the first thing I want to do is clean up these bars. Scratch the dirt out of there. I am using the dull side of my hoof knife to do this, and I'm eating up that frog. I'm not a big trimmer of frogs, but when you get a shaggy one like this and it's overgrown and you can see where it's skewed just a little bit, that's a frog that needs to be trimmed. We'll take that bar off. I want to follow down on this black. And the black's trimming out, so there's no problem there at all. We have nothing there to worry about. And I'm just taking enough off that now when you slide your hoof fish down in there or catch with the tip of that knife, everything's open and clean. Now I want a little bit more right in the center, right there. Get my wrist out so you can see. And again, when he fusses like that, bring him forward a couple of steps so he doesn't fall off the concrete. There we go, thank you. When he fusses like that a little bit, we've got a lot of flies here. I'm not going to get in a wrestling match with him. Let the horse have his foot, and then come back again. And there he is, relaxing with it. So we'll pick up where we left off, continue neatening that frog. And that is pretty good. Now, as I just drop his foot and I look down here for, excuse me, camera.
Talk
As I
about
look
being
down
in the
here
middle
for
of the
level,
action. That's like being right in the middle of the action here, folks.
I'm looking here for level, and this side is high. So let me get my leg out of the way. Brian, you slide that camera in and see if you can get them the same view that we farriers have.
Yep.
Get right down on there and let them see how this side from, on a clock we'd be looking at 11 o'clock. From there back is high compared to this side.
I'm going to tilt the camera so you guys at home might be getting dizzy, but we're going to show it both ways there. There you go. Yep.
There's your high side.
Yep, that's clear to see.
And it was clear where his foot was on the ground.
Yep. Cool.
All right. Come on up, Mr. Hank. So now out come the nippers. There's my first nip. I'm going to break that out of there. So as you can see, I'm starting from nothing and I'm taking it deep towards the rear as I'm coming around.
Yep.
My personal preference, I start at the toe and work to the heel. Other farriers prefer to start at the heel and work to the toe.
And as long
So
as you,
do what's comfortable for you.
as long as you have it mapped out and measured, that shouldn't be an issue.
Each one of my nips, I'll break that out. There's the end of my nip. But my next nip, I like to overlap. So that I'm really only taking half of the width of my nippers each time. And what that does is it slips those jaws into the same spot over and over and over, and gives you a very smooth and consistent nip.
Nice.
So now we'll take a look at that from the farrier's point of view, and what we'll find is we're just a skosh high, 1/16 of an inch high right on this tip of the heel.
So 1 skosh is worth 1/16 of an inch.
Yes, that is.
Now we got our lingo.
That's right. We have.
Great. And I'll get back in this. Get you. Farrier's perspective. Oh, yeah. Yep.
And just a touch right there, too. As I run my finger over that, I can feel where I'm just a little bit high.
Right.
So I'll touch up that heel as well.
Cool. So would you say that probably the nipping really creates the balance, and then the rasping pretty much cleans things up at this point?
Yes, unless you nip poorly, and then you have a whole lot of rasping to do.
That's
The better you nip, the less you rasp.
cool. We have a visitor. Hello.
Yeah, he's the one that's kind of tearing down that thing. Aren't you, big boy?
Well, that's interesting. This young lady, if you don't mind being on video for a minute, do you?
Oh, no.
Oh, well, then we won't. We'll just chat with you then.
Get
But
off that broom, please, before I whack him in the hip.
this young lady that just walked in here said that she's also noticed an improvement with Hank over all these sessions, and so it's nice when we have people just stopping by to visit and noticing some changes.
So now, take a peek down there for a level again. You can see the difference.
Yeah. And now if I tilt it this way, we can see the difference of the bulb to the buttress on both sides. Nice.
Now, the smoother you nip, the less you rasp. And the same is true when we dress this foot up. There's a lot of hoof wall to come off as we dress it up. So me being basically lazy, I come in here at a 90 degree with my nippers. And I'm taking 50% of that hoof wall away. I'm going to rasp this off anyway. So I can nip it much faster and easier. And I'm fond of easy.
Yep. And I can see the symmetry of the foot developing as you continue to nip. The foot looks less and less lopsided.
Yes.
The more strategic you are with your nippers. That's really good. It's cool to see.
You can see the outside heel is wider than the inside heel. Mm-hmm. But he used to be wider through the quarter.
Yep.
And he's
Much more
almost the
symmetrical.
same now.
Yep.
So this foot's gradually redeveloping. All this dirty sole, I'm leaving all that sole in there. Preserve your sole as much as possible.
That makes sense. Cool. All right.
That was his.
Well, you know, one thing while Kirk is getting ready to do some rasping here, it's interesting that he has a little more activity. He's a little more, one might say he's moving around a little more than before, but when we first started, he was physically sore, so
Yeah.
what it meant was that he wasn't going to be being himself. Now he's being a horse.
Yeah.
Horses move around, horses kind of have an opinion, and so it's kind of, a good thing.
Yeah.
Some people might think, oh boy, he's being a little more
He's fussier.
but I mean, horses, when they feel good, they're going to tell you.
I'm just happy he's got his personality back.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it too.
More of a-
Now you've got a horse that's got a personality.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Kirk's ready for some rasping, so we'll swing back around when you're ready, Mac.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
But not you.
Excellent. As promised, we won't put you on the camera, but thank you for the treats. We just had our
That was Max
friendly
Grandma
visitor
that
give us
he
a
was-
treat here.
Oh,
Yeah. Thank you.
I love barns like this.
And Mac, that's your grandmother, right?
Yes,
She's
Yeah.
taking care of all of us today.
Yeah, she's the most accurate read on horses. If she notices it, it's usually true.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
like, oh, he's so much
As
better.
a few minutes ago, I just promised her I wouldn't get her on the camera, but she verbalized that she noticed a big difference in him.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, we'll swing you back around here. Next step here.
Scoot over. Oh, boy. Scoot over some more. Scoot over some more. Scoot over some more. There you go. There you go. Thank you, sir.
We're going to take a break, and as we get ready, and we'll see you folks in a moment. So now that we're successfully taking care of the horse for flies, we've also wiped ourselves down with fly spray. It's just a terrible fly day here. Mr. Kirk's ready to get back to work, and he's going to proceed to tell us about the 4-point principle of the 4-point trim.
So this is an explanation. This is not a 4-point trim. I haven't even touched any of the rest of the wall. We just took care of this broken spot. But a 4-point trim, when you put your rest down, you can see the gap here. And a 4-point trim gives you stance pressure here on the toe, and it gives this heel column is supporting the foot. So you get support on the toe, support on the heel. It would be the same thing on this side with this heel and that toe. So they're counting 1, 2, 3, 4-point trim with the quarter removed. I use that on horses with very weak feet.
You can kind of see the date.
Weak hoof walls, a lot of flare. Can you see that on the camera?
I see a little bit of hollowness there, but I can see the 2 points on this side.
Yeah.
Toe and heel. Yep. Awesome.
But this is not a true 4-point trim here today. I'm just simply doing that because of the damage that he did to the foot. But that's the theory behind the 4-point trim.
Cool. So what you would probably say with this would be a partial 4-point trim, perhaps.
Yes, modified.
For this hollow spot.
So we'll continue now to take off this long inside hoof wall, the medial wall. Bring his head around to you, Mac, please. There you go. That'll keep him from moving that hindquarters away from me. Now this heel's a little bit long, so just as in the other foot, I'm going to take a little heel off here. Which of course will make this little gap that we spoke of earlier less.
Yep, I see that. Again,
come around and remove that thick toe because I'm going to dress up those flares. Unlike the other foot, whoop, hold on, Hank. Unlike the other foot, this is a little high as well. We'll nip that off. Oh. You want to get in there and look for level?
Oh, I was just going to get in on.
See, I'm just a little bit high right there.
Yep. I see that clearly. Yep. Again, we're in the front row seat here, the driver's seat of the Farrier at that point.
So on this foot, I'm going to touch that up with a rasp.
Here we go.
Rather than touch it up with my nippers. Push his hips over, please. But he's just using that as an escape route. He just keeps running right over top of you. To keep his nose bent towards you just a little bit. Now he's about ready to fall off the concrete, so pull him forward.
One of the things I'll mention here is notice the repositioning they're doing. It's not about necessarily holding a horse into place. It's about guiding them and positioning them into a better position. And there can be sometimes a lot of dancing, but the only way you're going to get to teaching a horse to stand on his own is to be able to know what part of his body to redirect. As you noticed, Kirk was mentioning to Mac. You may have overheard.
So you notice the difference there, Mac, and how he moved the hindquarters towards me.
Yeah.
That's how effective you were being. So now be a little less effective and keep him balanced right in the middle.
So there's a lot here to do with the handler. And again, we talked earlier about how Hank is feeling better. He's feeling like a horse. So now that means the human has to put his training cap on.
All right.
Farriers can be patient, like you see.
So now we've touched up there for level.
We'll get back to our trimming here.
And when I lay that rasp down, you can see how much less gap there is.
Yeah, I see
as
that.
we touched up the toe and the heel.
Oh yeah, it's hardly distinguishable here. Yep, got it. Good.
So now it's rounding up and dressing up. Walk in there for interviews.
Probably some of the most training you've seen with Hank as far as what I would like to refer to as steering him into a standstill. It's kind of like taking the training wheels off a kid's bicycle. You have to know how to support them, how to direct them so that eventually they can ride and fly on their own. That's the phase we're into here with Hank.
Well, and earlier you couldn't direct him.
And that's a good point, Kirk. And that's kind of what Mac has been working on in between our visits. So we have some directability here, we'll call it.
Yeah.
And he's truly not being bad. He's trying to find out what the parameters are because they have changed. As he gets more and more sound, the parameters change.
Yep.
We expect more from him and of him.
I would say this is a classic. He's got a new lease on life, therefore we may have to have a new training plan, which is a good thing, not a bad thing, right? Let's see if we can get on through here again. Yep.
And the same thing, you can see the growth line right there. So we're just bringing all that hoof wall back into alignment, removing the flare off the bottom.
And if you got a split second, Kirk, I'm going to try and get the camera back as we're in your position. This is what Kirk is seeing right at this point and what he's working on. Awesome.
Let's back up to that view, Brian.
Okay.
In terms of breakover, how this horse moves, forward, left, right, rasping makes a huge difference. With this toe exposed over here, he's going to want to break over to the inside.
Yeah, I see that.
We don't want him to break to the inside. We want him to break to the center of his foot. That's normal. So we need to remove this. The horse that has this lateral toe, the outside toe exposed, has trouble turning to the right, doing any maneuvers like a side pass to the right. He's going to want to go to the left because that's easier to break over.
Path of least resistance, basically.
Yes.
Yep.
So now we'll remove this big old lump.
Boy, perspective is so much based on what position you're in to see different things, because not being in the wrong place is going to give you the wrong perspective, or just unnoticed, I would say.
So now take a look at that same view again and see how that toe is more symmetrical.
Yeah. Yep.
We're encouraging him to break center.
Excellent. And again, we see the bulge of the coronary band and everything's matching. Very cool. And as we've been pointing out all through the video series, as Kirk set his foot down, even though he was dancing today and a little more exuberant today, you can see where he landed. This is his comfort zone. He's chilling out, and look where he's chilling out, right underneath his body. Still licking and chewing, still saying, I feel good, people.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and go back and view the very first video and see how tense this horse is. And when he makes a move, he's locked up and solid, and he's a little on the spooky side. He's ready to leave in a hurry. None of that's here today. He's been fussing, he's been testing, but he's quiet and he's relaxed and he's feeling good. He's happy. Oh, okay, I'll do this. Oh, that's what you wanted? Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. And to our point a minute ago, he's trainable now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And next year, after you do another 6 or 8 or 10 trims, you just drop the lead shank, trim all 4 feet.
Yep. Well, this has certainly been a great series. Matt, we so do appreciate you having us.
Yeah, I appreciate
You know, we started out, as we said earlier, in the cold of the early spring, and here we are, and everybody's ready to go forward.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see that. Do you have any closing comments or anything you'd like to add, Mr. Kirk?
Date-wise, I would have to look up what our exact February date was, but we started early February. Today is the 6th of August, 2024. So February, March, April, May, June, July, August. There's 7 months. See, I can count. 7 months.
That was pretty
That's
good.
what we've got on him. 4 trims, 7 months, and here's the difference. So now it's just routine maintenance and continue.
Yeah.
I need a year to a year and a half to have these feet absolutely perfect. But the way he is now, he can work hard. He can earn his living. He can do anything Mac wants. You want to ride all day on a trail? He'll do it now, comfortably. You want to jump fences? He'll do it now, comfortably. You want to do some dressage? He'll do it now, comfortably. You want to chase cows?
Yep.
He's capable of all that now as far as his feet and legs are concerned.
And I'll just add, even if at some point his job or his activity that he was doing required some sort of shoe for traction or what have you, the way you trim these feet, that won't change in terms of balance. applying a
A
shoe
good
would just
trim
be
is a good trim.
and it doesn't matter whether you
And-
add shoes to this or not at this point.
You can screw up a good trim by doing a lousy shoeing job, but you can't fix a bad trim by doing a really good shoeing job. You have to have both a good trim,
Yeah.
the basics, and then a good shoeing job.
Yeah. This is great. I just want to mention too, as we're kind of signing off here, that there's going to be more videos in the future of different horses and different cases. Just tune into the Farrier-Friendly Network and you'll see more of Mr. Kirk Underschultz and see more of me at some point. And we really do appreciate you folks tuning in.
I'd also like to point out, Brian, we did this barefoot. We are not barefoot advocates. I'm not poo-pooing
right.
putting shoes on a horse.
That's why I thought I'd bring up
Don't
the
mean
shoe.
that at all.
Yep.
But here's what we can do barefoot.
Yep.
We don't need shoes in a case like this.
Yep. Shoes can't cover up an unbalanced foot.
Exactly.
It can't compensate for an
a
unbalanced
lousy
foot.
balanced
Yep.
foot. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off here and finish eating our ice cream.
Licking
And
it up
again,
now. that it's
licking it up
melted.
now. And again, we thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you on down the trail.
Thank
Thanks.
you very much.
Thanks.